Over the last decade, we've been contacted by dozens and dozens of survivors who we tragically had to tell that we couldn't do anything for them and they couldn't take any legal action because the statute of limitations, the time limit, had run out. And so a number of years ago, we, with a group of courageous survivors like Toni, went to the legislature and started working on getting a law passed that would change that. First, the California Child Victims Act opens up a window, an opportunity for the next 3 years for survivors like Toni to come forward, expose their offenders, expose an offender like Moreno who had never been exposed before, to help protect the community. They can do that for the next 3 years. Doesn't matter how old they are, whether they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, any survivor can come forward, expose their perpetrator, and expose any institutions that were responsible for the abuse as well. Second thing that the Child Victims Act does, Assembly Bill 218, is it closes a loophole that was in the law before. Now survivors can bring cases against any institution, any individual who perpetrated the abuse. It's against the Boy Scouts, a Catholic bishop, different religious organization, public school, any organization, any perpetrator, no matter who they are. This law allows all survivors to have their day to expose those perpetrators and offenders. The last thing, third thing that the California Child Victims Act does, that is the first time in the country that has ever been done, is there is a penalty in this law for any person in any institution who covers up and conceals childhood sexual abuse. The penalty is that they are assessed 3 times the amount of damages. That's triple damages or treble damages. It is a groundbreaking, game-changing provision in the law, first time in the country, and it serves as a dire, dire warning to every offender out there, every official who's covered up and concealed child sex abuse. This is a real piece in the law that has real teeth, and I think it's going to be a game changer across the state for child protection.
In this case, the offender is Anthony Moreno, a known offender. This case targets the Diocese of Fresno. And why so? Because it is the Diocese of Fresno whose practices, whose protocols, whose policies are so perilous that they make choices, conscious choices, time and time again to protect the reputation of the diocese and the top officials in it, to protect the reputation of the diocese at the peril of children.
I mean, as a 12-year-old, I was confused, and I thought that I'd done something wrong. I didn't understand what I'd done. You know, for years, you know you're a bad person somewhere inside of you, and I always tried to be good. I never understood what it was. I was ashamed and guilty, and I'm not ashamed anymore, and I feel absolutely no guilt. I did nothing wrong, and it's sad to think of others suffering for years. It was over 30 years before I ever said anything.
And Toni, thank you for bringing this case. Thank you for putting your name on it and letting those survivors know they are not alone and they did nothing wrong. The children of the Diocese of Fresno deserved better. The children of Kern County who were exposed to this perpetrator deserved better, and we must do better for them. You know, what's really troubling about the state of affairs here in the Diocese of Fresno is that they made us put out the Anderson list. And the Anderson list contains not 36, but actually 43 publicly known offenders from this diocese. Father Moreno does not appear in the Anderson list because the diocese has kept his identity and his status as a child sex offender secret. They've made statements and they've made pledges of transparency and of safety, and they have not followed through yet. And this lawsuit, brought by this brave survivor, will showcase that this diocese cannot be trusted to police itself because it has chosen time and time again to value secrecy over safety.